For those of us that can hear, and thankfully that includes most of us, sound is a seemingly indispensable part of our every waking moment. It is our principal communication vehicle. We use it to interpret what is happening in the world around us. We use it to express emotion. We create and experience it in music for pleasure. We use it to set the mood for movies and so on. We also tend to take it for granted. This short presentation is about some of the tools we use to acquire, copy, create, disperse and manipulate sound. However, we should always bear in mind that some sound, particularly music created by others, is not necessarily unencumbered. Music is generally the intellectual property of its creator, so we are not necessarily free to copy it or repackage it. This presentation is not an endorsement for breaching copyright. The first tool we will look at is called Roxio Media Creator. Roxio was sometimes packaged on new computers and is currently priced between 170 and 200 Australian dollars. With Roxio you can copy an audio CD, copy a track from a CD, create a new audio CD, create a new MP3 disc, extract and convert audio and LPs and tapes, and save in digital format, and create audio through a microphone. The subroutines are all pretty straightforward. For example, to copy a CD, the copy window provides for a source drive for the CD and a destination drive for your copy. If you only have one CD drive, you put the disc in that, simply click Advanced, which will take you to a mirror image process, or click on Copy. Then when the tracks are all copied to a cache, you will be prompted to insert a new blank CD into the drive for the files to be burnt to. To create an MP3 is straightforward. Start with the CD in the CD drive. Identify the source path, i.e. audio CD, and the tracks will appear. Tick those tracks desired, then click on the icon for Copy Tracks from Audio CD. You will have to specify, of course, the destination for the tracks and then Start. Saving your LPs and tapes is simply a matter of using Roxio's Copy Assistant. To save your LPs and tapes in digital form will, of course, require those to be in their respective players and connected to your computer with the appropriate cables. Click on Recording Setup for a guide to the connections. Then click on the Record Tracks button. You can record them in WAV, MP3 and Windows Media Audio. Similarly, if you want to record sound with a microphone, Roxio has the appropriate facility. It's best to use a headset stereo microphone if recording voice, so that the microphone is a constant distance from the mouth. Again, you can record in a number of formats, that is WAV, MP3 and Windows Media Audio. For some, a key tool will be to capture CDA files from the disk and convert them to a format that can be used with other tools such as Movie Maker. Movie Maker does not have the capacity to convert from CDA. Here I have opened Windows Movie Maker with an audio CD in the CD drive. You will note that when I seek to import an audio file, the program recognizes WAV files and MP3 first. The drop-down list identifies WAV, AIF, AIFF, SND, etc. When I look for the drive containing the CD, the program doesn't recognize any of the CD tracks. If you use Adobe Audition, the program will list the CD tracks, allow extraction of a selection, and after creating a peak file, import it as a WAV file. Audio is primarily for manipulating sound, which is best done in WAV format, which is uncompressed. Auditions also allows you to mix tracks, but you have to go to the multi-track view. I am going to import several bird call files, and I am sticking to WAV format for simplicity. I want to make an audio background for a bird movie. When the files are imported, they have to be inserted into their tracks. You can right-click on them and slide them into the desired position on the track. Even if the files are all of the same designation, sometimes you will get a file which has to be reformatted to make it compatible. With prompts, the program will do this automatically. Also, a file might need to be boosted in amplitude to match the others. Double-clicking on the file opens it in the Edit view. The file has to be selected, and then you go to Effects, Amplitude, use the presets or slide bar to increase the amplitude, and then click OK. When the amplitude has been adjusted, you return to the multi-track view. You can now play the composite of files to see that they are acceptable. There are additional tracks available which could be used with other background sounds such as a waterfall or wind through the trees or anything else that's appropriate. You can now start the export process. This has to be preceded by saving the session. This also allows you to revisit the session and make changes that subsequently appear to be required. Changed audio files also have to be saved. Finally, a prompt pops up to save the actual finished WAV file. You should double check the file name and destination where it is to be saved, and then click Save. Another useful tool for working with audio files is Nero Wave Editor. It is essentially for recording and manipulating existing files, primarily WAV and MP3, though it does handle a few others as well. If you import an MP3 file, it will convert it to waveform and display it for editing. You can change volume, apply transpositions, time correction, do noise analysis, and remove unwanted clicks and other effects. To apply any of the numerous tools, you have to select a section first. Then when you make the changes and are satisfied with the file, you can resave it in a number of formats, including Windows Media Audio, WAV, MP3, AIFF and MP4. Nero cannot access CDA format. You can see by this screen that accessing a CD doesn't identify any tracks present, so none can be loaded. One of the easiest tools for setting up an MP3 disc is Windows Media Player. MP3 is a compressed format that is remarkably high quality, so you can fit many more of your favourite tracks onto a CD. When you open Media Player, you need to open on the RIP tab. If you haven't got a CD in the drive, it will ask for one. By default, all the tracks are ticked. You can remove all the ticks and only re-tick those you wish to rip. Before proceeding though, you need to click on the small chevron on the RIP tab and select More Options. On the new drop-down, under the RIP tab, you will see settings for the RIP file. The choices are WAV, Windows Media Audio and MP3. Whilst you are on that window, change the destination directory if necessary. I set up a folder called Gottschalk, since the CD I was ripping was of Louis Gottschalk tracks. When these specifications are finalized, you can click OK and proceed to the next step. Tick one or more tracks of your choice and click on the Start RIP button to rip them. You can watch the progress on the screen. When the ripping is done, there is a small screen pop-up pertaining to the artist, the album, etc., which are not recorded with the file name. These have to be manually entered yourself on the files later, using information from the original disc. You can see here I have ripped the files to WAV format. Setting the format for WAV might be the choice when using the process for music background in home video. For best results, audio files should be in WAV format, which is a lossless format, and only compressed during the DVD saving process when the compilation is finished. If you are creating an MP3 CD, You can collect as many MP3 tracks as you want in the one folder and then burn to disk